right now. It's our normal Wednesday chat session. I'm actually very happy how often I've kept this up. So yeah, I'm here. I get, as usual, I have nothing planned, so you know, let me know you guys are here, and I will say hello and all of that. I am streaming on my phone today, which is great for the screen and probably the worst for keeping up with the actual chat. All right, we got some people coming in and saying hello to everybody who's jumping in. How's everybody doing? How's the weather where you are? It is pouring down raining where I am. So just wondering, this is the fall season, so it could be everything from actual fall weather to some people's weather is still warm and other people's weather is already feeling like that beginning of the winter cold, you know. Ramona Hopewell says freezing. It's chilly in Florida. Cold in Chicago. Card Gamer says cold, not cold yet. So everybody's sort of feeling that brush into what's the season? Into winter. I was like, what's that season where it gets cold? Everybody's feeling that brush of winter, I guess. I'm gonna grab a charger right now so that I can make sure I don't get cut off by my battery dying. Thomas Thrift asks when I'm coming to the East Coast. There is no way I'm going to go to the East Coast before next summer. So it really honestly depends on finances next summer. I would like to go east again next summer. One, because the last time I was on the East Coast, there was family I did not get to see. And so I'd love to get back to the East Coast and actually get to visit people. Because last time I was there, I was cleaning out a storage unit. So it's like, I got to see a little bit of family on my father's side. I didn't get to see any of the family on my mother's side. I didn't even honestly get to visit my mother's grave, which still makes me sad. So there's a lot of reasons to go back towards east, but I want to be able to do it in a really casual way. And like, I can survive some cold weather, but this is not really a winter ready rig. And so instead of trying to like drive in a way that avoids bad weather, because like if I could get to Florida's not too terrible in the winter, and then I could go, you know, north and visit Baltimore by summer. But I financially I couldn't even make it to Florida right now. So yeah, I'm gonna try to go next summer, but that's not a promise. More than likely I'm gonna be staying on the West Coast and not going much farther before the summer months hit. I'm kind of here, guys. That's what I'm gonna say. But like loosely, that would be my thoughts on the matter. I would like to get south. Probably, but everything depends. Right now there's a lot of things up in the air, so I can't really make a lot of future travel plans until kind of some of those things get out of the air. So I'm not really in a place to like plan like that. Catherine says it's cold and broody here in Walla Walla, Washington. 55 in Georgia. And before people ask, I know people are going to jump in the chat later. Hey, where's Mickey? Where's Mickey? Because really, you guys only care about Mickey. So we're going to come up here to my bedroom, if I can manage not to drop the phone. So we're up in my bedroom. And right here in this bag, if you can see him, there's Mickey. Mickey, your fans want to see you. He's like, no, I'm in my pod here. This is his greenhouse, his green bag house. He just thinks I'm crazy right now. I gotta put. Now you can't see me because I'm. Whoop, okay. Oh, now you really can't see me. Oh, there we go. All right. And later on, somebody's gonna be like, "Where's Mickey?" And I'm gonna have to do that again unless he comes down, which he does what he wants to do. Ramona Hopewell says it went down from 70 to 40 overnight. I mean, if I could have 70 during the day and not raining, I'm okay with that. I'll just snuggle up at night. Jamal, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Jamal, terrible at this. Jamaltia, Jamalta. But I see that you say it's 70 in your area, Florida. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. Tina, what's up? She says, I'm going to Florida. Yeah, Florida's kind of expensive for me, you know, right now. S. Collins says he loves that greenhouse. Yeah, that's his spot, you know. Julianne, what's up? Says, hi, Dawn. I am on, but watching my Zoom on my computer also. Do what you have to do. I'm going to be on for about an hour, probably, so I'll be here. I'm probably going to try to wrap things up around 6:30, but until then, I'll just be on here chatting with you guys. Thomas Thrift is mentioning there's great adventures in Southeast Florida. For those interested, contact me. There's 2 free events coming up, apparently. Oh! Gem is in Jamaica and Italy. Okay, I got you. I think. I'm just gonna give up. I'm terrible. Sorry. Tina says California is too expensive for me. I mean, like, I don't know. From my perspective, California is expensive when you're trying to live in a house. And luckily, I'm not trying to live in a house. I just got to be able to afford gas. So, yeah. Ramona, hello to your daughter, Jessica. Scott Harriman says, as winter shows up, are you going to try to head to Quartzsite in sunny Arizona? I mean, like, there's places where, like, it's not going to be terrible winter that aren't necessarily all the way down in Arizona. I will say if there is a gathering in Arizona this year, I am going to try to go there, but I don't have any particular target of going there right now just because it's a lot of miles. Right now, due to current events, I kind of have to be very, very careful with money. And there's always more value in staying still when you're trying to save money than trying to get somewhere far away. So it becomes like, if it's just like a temperature thing, like what's your closest middle line, as it were. So that's sort of where I am mentally speaking. But there's so much, like, sort of that I can't make decisions about right this second, that within a couple weeks I'll be able to have a sort of clearer mind about it. So yeah. Which is why it's kind of hard to talk about things, because it's kind of like I need a couple weeks to really kind of see how things land before I can make any major decisions. Yeah. You just hit those spots in life where it's like, as soon as I find out about this thing, I can make a decision about this thing. That's where I am right now. So, yeah. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Washington license plate in the background. I'm from Washington State. Yes, there is a Washington license plate back there. I forgot I put that up for decoration, but when Ken gave me the Chevy van, it was in Washington State. And so when I changed the tags, I kept the license plate, just in remembrance of his kindness. Also, the little ducky is from him as well, and so I just want those things like in my life, just sort of as a memory of like random kindness, so that I remember, you know, that exists in the world, and I try to be that person as well, and hopefully I succeed sometimes. So that's where I never actually owned or registered or lived in Washington State. I went there to pick up the Chevy van, and then I bought it back to California and registered it in California because that's where I was a resident at the time. So, yeah. That's the story of the Washington license plate. Right now, the truck still has California tags, and that's one of the things I have to work out. I haven't been able to get it to the DMV to get it re-tagged. And so when I do that, I'm probably going to add California tags to that as well. And maybe I'll start collecting tags or something. I think that'll be a fun little piece of decoration. That would be cool. But right now, yeah, the vehicle, I am a resident of Oregon. The vehicle is still a resident of California. So one of the things, and there's just been, you know, things that happened that didn't allow it to happen any sooner than that. One of the things that I need to make sure is square is that all of my important paperwork and such is set up in Oregon, and one of those is getting the truck registered in Oregon, which it is currently not. Ironically, yeah, like, yeah, that's the way it is right now. It hasn't been re-tagged yet, and so, like, there's just been some things in the way, and I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks that's one of the things I can kind of, like, wrap up. All right, Jamma a towel is what I'm gonna say. I see your breakdown in the comments, and I like your flags, Jamaica and Italy. So I'm gonna go with Jamma a towel. Jamma towel. Ramona Helpwell says, if you come to the East, would you do a small meetup? Not too many people, though, LOL. Well, the thing is, as soon as you do a meetup, you never know how many people are going to show up. Not to say I'm all that famous or anything, because I certainly don't see myself that way. So it's really hard to control how many people, how long they're going to stay there. Like, you could announce a meetup and one person shows up, or you could announce a meetup and 20 people show up. So that's the hard thing about a quote-unquote meetup. It just has to be the right place, time, and situation. And somewhere that if 20 people show up, it's not going to cause any problems, you know, type thing. And it doesn't matter where you are if it's one person. It matters a lot if it's 20 people. And you don't know. It's not something you register for. So I don't even have the foresight to, like, plan something like that unless it's the right time, location, and situation for it. So that's unfortunately going to have to be my answer to that. I really prefer that an event is happening. I say I'm going to be at the event. And if I run into people who are familiar with me, like, that's great. If I run into people I'm familiar with, that's great. But having an actual meetup, you just have to think ahead about those things. I would never want to be the cause of a problem because a bunch of vehicles showed up somewhere, or a bunch of people showed up somewhere, and stuff like that. Especially because, you know, the big bad bug is not gone. The situation definitely has calmed down, and sort of what you're dealing with from city to city, state to state is really variable right now. But I wouldn't want to risk right now anything officially posted as like a meetup, and risk it kind of turning into something that I personally couldn't handle. So yeah, that's my unfortunate answer. Like, if the right time, place, and location, it seems like a cool thing to do, I do it, but like, there's nothing I'm specifically planning on. Like I said, I won't even probably get near the East Coast until the summertime, if I can go at all. and all of it will depend on like where I am financially at the time, you know, what's going on with the truck, if anything has like hurt money a lot, or, you know, I've just had my regular normal cycle of bills. There's just too many factors for me to predict that far in the future about even be able to get to the East Coast, let alone have a meetup when I get there. Janitha X, how did your home do during the strong winds? I mean, I think it was fine. Like, yeah, like, I didn't feel any more or less secure than I would have in a house with strong winds, I guess. I don't know. Ninth Element, what's up? Jumping into the chat. Sadie Louise said, we've used all our data for the month, so it keeps buffering on my end. I'm going to be so behind in the chat. Then Sadie, you'll be with me because I'm always behind in the chat. Robert's Jeepin', what's up? Welcome to the chat. Gene Dumford says 30 days DMV reg question mark. Well, because I have a box truck conversion, it's not a matter of that. I need to be able to get the truck down to the DMV. So obviously there was a delay in that because you know, it's nothing. It literally has to do with my ability to physically get the truck there. like that's the only thing in the way. It's not. That's what it is. Right now it's a lot of stuff beyond my control that I just have to wait out, and I'll have a more solid idea of my life hopefully, you know, in the next couple of weeks. All Alone says, is that a problem with the police if you get pulled over? No. The truck is licensed and insured. I just recently moved. I literally have a friend who is currently living in a different state, then is on her tags, and the tags on her vehicle do not match the tags the tags on her vehicle do not match the state that her license is in. There is a certain amount of time if they find out that if you move to a state, there's a window in which you're supposed to get your let me get this right. I think it's your license. I don't think your actual vehicle registration necessarily needs to change as fast as your license. But don't quote me on that. But let's just say right now there's not a problem with me really getting pulled over. So yeah, before that becomes a big problem, I'm sure it'll all be taken care of. But long story short, it's just paperwork that hasn't been done yet. I'm not worried about getting in trouble with the law. I'm not speeding around Oregon, you know. This thing can't speed anyway. And it'd be very simple to say, I just moved from California to Oregon. I literally have, like, evidence I just moved from California to Oregon. And the truck is legally registered and insured. And in fact, the address on my insurance has already switched over. So it's just be a matter of, I was in the process of getting my tags and I haven't got them yet. Because insurance only asks for the VIN. They don't ask, like, you know, if you change your registration yet. It's like, do you have a VIN? Do you own the vehicle? Yes. Okay, here's your, you know, your insurance change. So yeah. And my friend should have switched everything. She just hasn't gotten to it. Okay, like it's more like, you know, DMV-itis. Carrie Stiegel says, what are your favorite YouTube channels that you follow? Are you talking about van life YouTubers or YouTube in general? Because the thing about me is, like, I could probably say some YouTubers I absolutely adore, who none of them are in van life. And if they post a video, I will watch it within 2 seconds of it posting. Creatively speaking, I always want to do my own thing, so I don't want to feel like I'm copying people in my genre, for lack of a better term. So I find the longer I'm in van life, and this is not the answer to your question, the less I watch van life channels unless they really impress me. Or, like, you know, yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Like, the longer I actually live the lifestyle, I hate to say, the less I watch random channels. I still will occasionally. One of my favorites, why is their name gone? Our Way to Rome. They built a shuttle bus. They're building a new shuttle bus that they're going to sell. I've been really fixated on that build. I watch a lot of Navigation Nowhere, just because I think he's a really brilliant builder. And he knows his stuff. I mean, I got the idea from him about running 2 fuse boxes, which I think is really, really smart. It really reduces your wire runs. So that's like van life people. Element Van Life. I watch him a lot. I still watch Van City Van Life. I'll be honest, I don't watch every video that drops, just because I also, like, I needed space for my own stuff, but I still love his stuff. It's just, like, I may not, when I first started watching him, I watched every single video he dropped, and I still think, like, he is such a brilliant creator in general. I love watching his stuff, but I don't necessarily watch every video he drops. On the non-van life front, I watch this guy named Chris Stuckman. He's a really cool movie reviewer. There is this YouTuber I've fallen in love with recently. The channel is called Casually Comics, and she does commentary on comic book stuff, and not comic book movies. Like, if a comic book movie drops, she's not talking about that, but, like, if something comes out that's comic booky, she might do some content related to actual comic book history. And I love Casually Comics, and when I just need to feel good, I will watch Casually Comics. She does a lot of commentary videos on Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, and oh my god, those comics are terrible. Like if you will have no respect for Lois Lane reading Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane. She is marriage ups. Now, mind you, these are, I believe, Silver Age comics. I think I can't remember. I think they're Silver Age, but they're old comics. So in these comics, basically, if a handsome man shows up, Lois might fall for him just because he's handsome. She's obsessed with getting married. She's obsessed with the idea of, like, being Superman marrying her. And it's just really funny because she is a character who has a lot of respectability now. She's seen as, like, a strong female, you know, good representation, independent. But in these comics, because of the timeline and what they were written in, it's all about getting married. Like, she just dropped working at the Daily Planet and get married. And I never knew these comics existed. Like, they're before, like, my time of being aware of comics. And so I freaking love that channel. Probably none of these were the answers that you wanted. I'm just I can't believe I went off on Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. Like, no matter what I do, how does Superman get into things? Okay. Patrina Gilbert, good night. I don't have a lot of energy tonight, guys. I feel like my energy is, like, shot. Where did I get my bike stand from? I think you're talking about... Let me grab it. There. bike trainer. That's literally what it's called. It's called a bike trainer. And if you just type in the words bike trainer, you'll find a whole bunch of them. Some are more expensive than others. Some of them will require you to like remove one of the wheels from your bicycle. So it's actually not a bike stand. It's literally for you to ride your bike. And you basically just open it up like this, and you put your rear wheel between these two sides. You screw this down, and then you tighten the second one, and your back wheel would basically rest on this. And so you would tighten this until it was firm against your back wheel, and it gives enough tension to your back wheel that you can basically ride indoors. And so it's great for turning a regular bike into an exercise bike. I got mine on Walmart.com. Walmart.com is where I got mine. And it's probably like the third bike trainer I've owned in my life. So I got mine from Walmart.com. You can probably just type it in anywhere. Walmart, Lowe's, Target, Amazon. There are expensive versions, there are cheaper versions, and it's just called a bike trainer, is what it's called. But I got mine from Walmart. You don't have to get it from Walmart. There's some in the exact same price range on Amazon, and it does come with a little lift for the front wheel, just to lift the front wheel up even with the bike trainer level. Layla Jean says, what upcoming van projects do you have? Not the mechanical stuff. I'm pretty up to date about that. I still want to do some more paint work on the BoxTruck. It's going to be expensive just because it's a lot of paint to buy. So that's sort of my big aesthetic project, is the painting of the outside of the truck. And that got on hold so that other stuff could get done. But that's my big project I want to do. I also might take all this apart and redo it. It's kind of a mess, but I was looking at it today, and I built this really fast from scrap wood because I needed something to put my Jackery battery in so that I could put the solar panel connection to it. And I just threw it together from scrap wood because I wanted to get out of the storage unit. So I want to rebuild that. Let's see. Underneath my bed, hidden behind this curtain, I would like to build better storage over here. Right now I just have bins over here, and then over here where my toilet area is, it's dark in here, let me turn on the light. I just have, whoa, sorry guys, I dropped you. Oh no, the camera's gonna jack up. The phone does not like to be dropped. Shoot, this is why I don't like moving around. But as you can see, or maybe you can't, so that is my camera that's acting crazy right now. But there's plastic storage bins that I bought, and I'd like to actually build something and pull those out at some point. The question is, am I going to be able to get my camera back? Because this phone does not like to be dropped. And now the camera's wigging out on me. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Maybe if I settle down, it'll stop flipping out. Deborah Jackson, thank you for the $5 super chat. Stacy Eastman, thank you for the $20 super chat. Belated happy birthday, she said. Thank you so much. Gene Dumford says, famous last full-timer words in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's one of those situations where you can't make the next decision until you see what's going to happen. And so you kind of have to let things happen, and then you can make the next decision. So it's like, there are decisions I just can't make right now because too many things could make that not the thing that happens. Marty Malone says, hey Dawn, I've belonged to an online group for 15 years and we would periodically meet up if a peep was coming through. I've been to Seattle with some Oregon peeps and was hosted in. That's awesome. Jamie Loon says, so are you not afraid of being killed? I would be. I am no more afraid of being killed than I would in any other situation. You can be killed at any time. I don't think anything now makes my life inherently more risky than if I was living it any other way. In fact, I consider the ability to move safer than not being able to. Like, I actually value the ability to move as safer than not being able to, like having to go back to the same place. I mean, think about it. If you're getting stalked, I hate to bring that up, but if you're, let's say you have a stalker, stalkers are looking for patterns before they act on it. Random violence happens all the time anyway, and acts of nature happen all the time anyway. But I can even go, where is the less of a chance of an act of nature? Like, I can kind of play avoidance with that. So yeah, there's nothing that makes me inherently more afraid of getting killed than anything. Random violence happens anyway. And like, I consider the ability to move around and not really having patterns or a place I go back to all the time more safe than going back to the same place all the time. Whether that's true or not, that's just kind of how I feel about it. So I guess the answer is no. Uh-oh, what was said? I see a deleted message. I'm reading. CCH says, I like Our Way to Rome too. They're great. Jamie Lunez says, Silver Age Comics ? Okay, so there's actually different, and don't ask me to list them because I'm not good at it, but there are different ages of comic books. And because there's two things that happen. One, things go on so long, at some point universes get reset. That's why comic canon, or like the comic timeline, like if Superman had aged normally, just to use, or even Batman would not be alive right now to be used if he aged normally, because when he was invented he was already a grown man, and it's been a long time since then. So one, comic books get reset, and two, sort of the ages are also defined by things. At one point, comic books were affected by, oh God, I can't believe I'm going into this on my live, were affected by something called the Comics Code. And I'm not well-versed enough to point that out, but there was a point where, like, there was a thing called the Comics Code, and they came in because there was certain stuff they decided they didn't want in comic books that were being marketed to little kids. It's sort of like the Hays Code they had on television. That's why when you watch old television shows, you'll see couples not sleeping in the same bed, because the Hays Code didn't want kids to see married couples in the same bed. And then eventually that phased out and television started to change, and comics actually went through the same thing. So one, there were periods like the Hays Code where a lot of the content in comic books were trying to appeal to this Hays Code. And then there was a period after that where they had already started pushing the boundaries, and then comics kind of changed again. So there actually are different ages of comic books. And yeah, that's my very bad explanation, is like, as things evolved over time, as things got sort of redone or started over, or they, restarted the universe so that, they could use the familiar heroes, but use them in like a modern context without having to be 100% loyal to all the stories that it came before. Those kind of mark out the ages of different comic books. So yeah, so like Superman in the 60s is not our millennial Superman. they're different in some ways, but they might hold on to some base histories from like past comic books. Nerd. Thank you to everybody who is reminding people to hit that like button. Smoldery Rule says, did you like the video reels I sent you? I didn't see them. I've also been dealing with some stuff this week, so it's been a week. Jamie Lunez says, cheap Peloton. I guess you could say so. I mean, like, if that's the comparison you want to make. I mean, it's a cheap exercise. I don't even consider it cheap. I like having an outdoor bike so that if I want to bike outdoors, I can bike outdoors. But there's a lot of reasons not to bike outdoors. It's not the right environment. It's the weather's not permitting it. It's not something I can do every day as an exercise if I am relying on getting that bike outside. Whereas with the bike trainer, if I want to bike for exercise and purely for exercise, I can do it in here. I can do it in here on schedule. I can do it safe. I don't have to worry about traffic. If I'm in a good area to do it or a bad area to do it, weather, like none of those things have to stop me. But at the same time, I don't have an exercise bike that, number one, I would have no room for, but number two, that can only be indoors and can never go outside. So I consider it sort of a way to balance it out. I had my first bike trainer years ago before Peloton was even a thing. So I love having one because it means, yeah, I can use my outdoor bike as an indoor bike, which means I can exercise on it, rather it's favorable conditions to be outside biking or not. That's the whole thing. Carrie Stiegel says, I love your answers. Thanks for sharing your joy. Thank you so much. Cherry Bomb Granny says, finally I catch a live. I have enjoyed watching you build and go. Your enthusiasm is contagious. Thank you. Swirly says, Dawn, did you get new lights? You seem brighter. I actually did. While I was still in Bus Town, one of the days it was raining and we couldn't work on bus projects. One of the big things I did was install some lighting. It might be because the lights are bright. It may look terrible. Let's try not to drop the phone again. But right here, there's a light right there above Mickey's little shelf. You can kind of see it, but because it's bright. And then over here, let me go. There we go. Over top this window, I installed a light. And so, yeah, there's like light coming from the left and the right now. But yes, I did get some new lights. And then I have some track lights, but I don't feel like getting the remote for them right now. Sadie Louise says, Dawn, you should teach a class on anything. I'd pay to learn from you. You teach and explain things perfectly. Thank you. I'm actually hoping to do some future content that's more instructional. Especially if common questions, things I get all over time. Like my video I did on internet on the road and the video I did on my Spot device are really the kind of videos I'd love to do more of in the future. More so, I hate when I get something new and I take it out the box and I have to review it because like I haven't had time with it. And so like when I've had time with the situation, like if I had done internet on the road 2 years ago, I wouldn't have had the video I had today. But because I've had some time working on systems that work for me and I have really strong reasons about what works for me, I really like creating videos that have that information. And they are kind of dense and they don't necessarily do great in the algorithm, but I feel like they have this long-term value that I really want to strive towards having in more videos than not. Yeah. More than like frantic videos about what's going on right now and keeping up with right now. Like I really like the idea of like something I've had time with that I sort of have some experience to really like talk about. So it's a matter of finding more subjects like that that really sort of feed that kind of content. But we'll see what I do. And like, people may hate it and I may never hit, I don't think I'm at 25K. I think I'm still at like 24 and some change. So it's like, maybe this content will be so boring I'll never get past that number. But maybe that's okay if I'm creating something that has long-term value. And that's sort of like how I roll with it. So I appreciate that people are actually getting value out of those videos. The Red Precarian says, I'm thinking about either retiring to Mexico or living in a van, or both. Lots of folks retire to Baja California, Mexico, and living in a van too. You can do both, you know? And if you have that retirement money and you don't like it, you know, you can always not live in a van. And if you go to someplace cheap, you could just have the van to travel with and live someplace cheap. Smoldery Rules asks, how am I keeping warm? I have it off because it actually got too hot in here, but this propane heater right here. That's how I keep warm. The Queen Lioness says, what brand is it? If you're talking about my bike trainer, I have no idea. Generic, cheapest one I found on Walmart.com. I don't even know the name of it, if it has one. It probably doesn't. I'm gonna look real quick. Nope, no name brand on it. Bike trainer. I'm sure it had a name when I bought it. I was looking through about 15 that looked the exact same. I just picked one. I was like, okay, this is the cheapest one. And just picked it. It was the cheapest one in the style I was looking for. I've been asked if Mickey is in his bubble sleeping. Yes, he is. Let's go check on the mixer. Let's see if we can get... Shoot. There he is. Mickey, your fans want to know what's up. Mickey. Hi. Hi, buddy. Are you not in the mood for people right now? Huh? Huh, buddy? Okay. He's yawning at me right now. Mickey. How you doing? Okay. I'm gonna leave you alone. Alyssa Soto says, hey, y'all, coming in late but made it to a live. What's up, Alyssa? Samantha B, what's up? Even though you're behind me, I'm going to say hello. At some point, you'll see this. Jamie Luna says, van life for women is hard. I mean, yes and no. Van life is hard. I mean, depending on what you think is hard. I also think, like, if you're used to having things, it can be harder to feel like you're giving up things. The thing is, I don't feel like I've given anything up. I feel like I've gained way more than I've given up. You know, it's not like before this I was making a lot of money and living some like fancy schmancy life and I couldn't even think about traveling because like I couldn't afford it. Like if I was going to pay for a place to live, I couldn't afford to travel. And this was before California, before we go into California's expensive. When I lived in Maryland, I could barely afford to live. The first time I was homeless, I lived in Maryland. I didn't even live in California. And then I got back into standard housing and I was living that for a while. I came to California for my internship and then I became homeless again. So it's not like I was coming from this extreme sense of comfort. I think van life can be hard when you had some sort of comfortable life and you're giving that up to get into van life. Like, I have lived in houses where I had to heat up water on the stove because we didn't have hot water because a bill hadn't been paid. At that point, I wasn't in control of the bill. So, you know, like, I've already lived in houses where, you know, I had to do stuff because things were bad at the time. And, you know, and then things got better and then they got bad again. And that was the flow. I had a pretty good childhood experience growing up, but it's not like I ever had a lot of things anyway. And I never had to travel when I was a kid because that wasn't really something my mom liked to do. So, and nothing against her. She was my mother was amazing. Like, she wore the same clothes for years to make sure that she could pay for my school supplies and make sure I had new clothes. So, like, when you haven't had a lot of hardship, maybe coming into van life is hard. Like, I have washed out of a sink bowl while living in a house because that was the only choice I could make. There were too many of us, and for us to get out in the morning, you had to do a wash up in the sink and make sure you hit all those areas and go. So it wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. I think van life can be hard when you're adjusting to its extreme differences, and that has nothing to do with gender. I do think women are targeted and thought weaker in a lot of ways, which is kind of silly, especially in 2021? Because I remember when I used to work for a college, and one of the teachers who taught production was like, all the kids he got in now, all of them knew how to design on the computer. Like, when they taught them to design on the computer, they picked it up like that. But almost none of them, male, female, whatever, had ever used a hand tool. So they knew how to design it in the computer, but when you took them in the shop to actually build it, they didn't use hand tools. Nobody had taught them how to use hand tools. Like, it's funny that the stereotype about women in cars still exists when most men can't work on their own cars now. So, like, in the majority of the world. So it's just really funny to me. The Red Picarian says, when I was in the Navy and the really big storms rolled in, even typhoons, we headed out to the sea to avoid the really big storms. Likewise, in a land yacht, I would assume the same is true. The storms might be different, but the strategy is the same. No? Exactly. If you have a heads up, this isn't a good area to be in your vehicle, rather it's actual nature or human arseholes, your ability to leave the situation with your house is fairly easy in a vehicle. Like, if you're in a house and some things are going down, you can't turn on the engine and leave. Something Better says, hi Dawn, I have not seen anything regarding your weight loss. Are you not posting them anymore on your Van Life channel? I haven't been posting them since about, I think, like, maybe April or May might have been the last time I posted one. I really threw myself into building the BoxTruck, and so I've actually been working on a video about rebooting my fitness journey, and I thought I might have it out last weekend, but hopefully it'll be out next weekend. But it was hard, and it's honestly only happened within the last month. Like, I gave it up so I could finish the BoxTruck, and then I went to Gutted. Well, I went south first, and then I went to Gutted, and then I came up here, and things have been so crazy. It's like, I haven't really focused on it except maybe within the last month. So I'm hoping to start those videos again, but I literally stopped posting them, period, because I wasn't even focusing on exercise and weight loss. Samantha B, thank you for the $50 super chat. She says, I'm on my way to Sarasota, leaving CA in July, and you are, of course, welcome. Oh, Sarasota. I was like, Sarasota where? Sarasota, Florida? And thank you for the driving cash, LOL. Griffin Girl, thank you. It's Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Modern Age. So yes, comic books have ages. And I'll leave you up to your independent research about that. I'm probably way behind on these comments. Ellie's Adventure says, just like TV, I think Ricky and Lucy were the first to have a regular bed they slept in together. And Dorothy says Lucy and Desi had separate beds and she was in labor. I don't remember, but because that show ran for a long time, it might have changed. Like I said, I don't remember. I remember Lucy and Desi actually having separate beds, but those might be the older ones. There might have been some time after little Ricky was born through his immaculate conception that they might have allowed them to have the shared couple bed. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how, like, they didn't even want married couples implying that they were in the same bed together. Ugh. No! Princess Pamela says we have something else in common now. I got my catalytic converter stolen on Sunday. I am so sorry. It sucks. Layla Jean says, I've always been curious about your filming equipment. Your early BoxTruck builds have different angles. I'm assuming it isn't $1,000 setup equipment. I'm hoping to start making my own videos soon. I think I was watching a Casey Neistat video, and he was talking about the best camera. For those who don't know, Casey Neistat is a huge vlogger on YouTube, like huge. And Chrome Valdez is actually inspired by him a lot. I have not watched him intensely, but I watched a couple of his videos, and he was talking about the best camera. And he was saying the best camera is the right one for the situation. And he said, sometimes it's this, and he pulls out his cell phone. And he's like, sometimes it's this, and he pulls out this really expensive rig. So sometimes it's my cell phone. Sometimes it's a GoPro. I did not have a GoPro in the beginning. It was something I bought later. Now, what I like about a GoPro is a lot of times I'll just, like, sit it up and have it capture a wide shot. And sometimes my cell phone's in my pocket and I'm trying to get something a little bit closer, and so I'll leave that wide shot going, and while I'm closer up I will film the closer up stuff. And then once you get into editing, you just have to edit that stuff together so it makes sense. So you might have the long running wide shot, you cut it at some point, go into the closer shot, and this is exactly what they do in movies, and then you go back to the wide shot. And if you're lucky, you have a medium shot. Now sometimes, because this is not a film studio, I ain't got time for all them shots, and so sometimes I'm sad that I don't have those shots. So the truth is I use a lot of things. I use my cell phone in some situations, especially if it's the closest thing to me and I want to make sure I record that part. But sometimes I also use my GoPro because it's really tiny. And so because it's tiny, I can put it in small places or do things closer as well. It also shoots really wide to be so tiny. Like, GoPro shots tend to be really, really wide. And I also recently, maybe within like the last month or two, I bought a little camcorder, and so sometimes I use that as well. And then you put all that stuff, all the footage on. In my case, I put it all on a hard drive, and then I edit it all together in a computer. Getting the shots is sometimes a pain in the arse because you have to stop and move cameras around. So you literally have to stop what you're doing, go get the camera, make sure the camera can see what you're doing at the angle that you want it to be seen, and sometimes that camera is your cell phone. Start the recording, do the part, and then if you do anything that is not in that same position, you need to stop the camera again, get yourself set up for the new thing, get the camera set up so it can see you doing the new thing, and then actually do the new thing while recording it. So yeah. I use my cell phone a lot. Right now I have a Google Pixel 3. and I supplement that with a little camcorder and a GoPro. And I obviously have a drone, but I don't think I've done any drone stuff with the build because I didn't have time to like charge a drone and go out and fly it for build stuff. Alright, I'm going to do some scrolling because we're hitting the 1 hour mark. Shay asked, hi Shay! Aside from the exterior paint, are you considering large format decorative stickers vinyl? Not at this time. And I'm going to be honest. Because of what happened with the magnets, I'm reluctant to advertise myself on my vehicle. As far as just having stickers around that I get from other YouTubers and stuff like that, I'm fine with that because it just looks like a mural of stickers after a while, and you have to get all the way up on it to even like really see or read them. Like from a distance it just looks like a mural of stickers, or will after a while. But I'm reluctant to have like advertising on the side of my vehicle again because of what happened last time, and those are freaking magnets. And it does make me sad because I know plenty of people who advertise all over their freaking vehicles and have never had a problem. But because I had that problem, I'm just very reluctant to like advertise on my vehicle at all. Yeah. Pat says, hi Dawn, hi. When have you last seen Jaylena? Jaylena had to have been less than a week ago. Like yeah. When was birthday dinner number 2? And then it wasn't that long ago. Says, I joined your channel from when you were visiting her and Isaac. All of you and Mindy included were so much fun to watch. That's wonderful. Those are all good people, and I'm so happy, you know, to have sort of a little YouTube family in Oregon. Jamie Lunez says, do you write? Actually, that's what I went to college for. I went in to become a writer and came out a stage manager who still wrote. I don't write as much these days, but yeah, I grew up writing stories. Like, that was my jam. I made up my own superheroes. They were called the Super Ninjas because I was completely uncreative. And it was a boy and a girl, and their names were Michael and Kim. And they had superpowers, but they were also ninjas because Ninja Turtles, and I love the Ninja Turtles, and I was so uncreative, I just created the Super Ninjas. And ninjas were really big back then, though. Like, and well, I guess it was like, it must have been like the 80s, like the Ninja Turtles were out. There was like a Three Ninjas movie. Like, it was ninja stuff all over the place. So everything was ninjas. Sadie Louise says, Dawn, would you consider a Patreon or members exercise group? I mean, you having one like the Zoom we did, but with exercise, something we all partake in. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I just have to think about like how that would work. I wouldn't want to have to exercise over Zoom. If you're talking about exercise goals, I wouldn't want to, if like people were interested in that, like I wouldn't want to restrict that to having to be like a Patreon member or anything like that, because I think it's too important. But also, honestly, I'd rather join something like that than run something like that. It becomes a lot of responsibility really quickly, and I'm barely keeping up with the responsibilities I have. Like, just for me, especially for exercise. The red, is it precarian? Sorry, I can't read that properly. It says, cats are hibernating now. My cat is sleeping a lot lately. Oh, this must have been when I showed off Mickey. I see people were exercising. Gene X, do I have treats for Mickey? I have a whole drawer for Mickey. Mickey has a drawer that is just the cat drawer. Tina's the outsider said, I just did a live stream before yours, Dawn. Oh, awesome. I hope a lot of people showed up. Did I miss anything? Okay. The Replicarian says, step 1, get rid of a whole bunch of stuff, then do it again, then do it again, then live in your house or room as if you were living in a van. I've lived in vans before, and I've been homeless too. Wanda L. Rodriguez says, are you planning anything else for your home? It's looking good. Are you warm enough? I am warm enough. Yes, I'm planning things, but it's more like renovating the house. So there's some stuff that I threw together really quickly because I needed to live in here and I needed to get out the storage unit. And so I would like to at some point attach those as separate projects. There's revisions I want to make to the bathroom area, or revisions I want to make to like my clothing / other storage, and revisions I'd like to make to the battery box area. But like, it's nothing that's stopping me from living in here or where I need to like put a hold. The biggest thing that I need to do that is sort of difficult right now is painting the truck. That's the hardest thing to like find money and time for right now. Jacqueline says, I was in the DMV. For people who don't know, that's the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, houseless too. Yeah, when I was homeless in, I was actually, most of the time, I hate to say it, I was actually sleeping in Washington, DC a lot. Because I had a job there, I was working like a little, technician job it was an on-call technician job, and so a lot of times I knew there were some streets near that theater in DC, and I would sleep on the streets a lot in DC. Well, not on the actual streets. I had an SUV, but it wasn't built out, it wasn't even laid out. Like, I had a storage unit where I put all my big stuff, and then everything I could fit in the car was kind of in there, but it wasn't arranged for living in. It was just shoved in there. And I would just sleep in the front seat. And in the theater, I could do things like take showers and stuff. It was not comfortable at all. And it's like, if I had that SUV now, there's a lot of stuff I would have gotten rid of, and I definitely would have set it up a little better, because I was set up better in my car when I lived out of my car in California than I was when I was in my SUV, and I could have done it so much better in that SUV, but you don't know what you don't know. And I was definitely homeless at the time. Like, it was not houseless by choice. I had to choose. It was like I was going to keep the car or I was going to pay the rent. And if I was going to keep the car, which I needed to do to keep working, it meant I had to default on my rent. And that eventually meant I had to live out of the car and not be able to pay the rent. And so I was living out of the car for a while. And the only reason I got out of that situation at that time was a friend of mine was basically looking out for me. And so that's how I was able to transition back into standard housing. And yeah. And then it all happened again when I got to California, because life sucks that way. Roman Rivero says, my schoolie is my happy place, not hard at all. That's right. Like, I am never sad to be in here. Like, when I come back to the box truck, I am home. When I am anywhere else, it's just, you know, it's someone else's space. It's not as comfortable, you know, all that kind of stuff. The Red Precarian says, I don't think women are weaker. My ex-wife could kick my butt. That's the word I'm going to use. And my mom was tougher than my dad. Rich Mountains, this is probably way old, but thank you for the $20 super chat. And I love the victory. I think that's a hippo. It looks like a hippo. Alyssa Sato says, I can't afford to travel either. I am on a fixed income, building out my Ford Explorer now, leaving January 1st. Good luck to you. and really enjoy that prep time to figure out what you need, even though you're going to figure out new stuff on the road. Sadie Louise says, from everything you've said about your mom, she sounds like a wonderful woman. Thank you. Deborah on the Go says, I've lived in a few non-traditional spaces. A home is a box with several smaller boxes arranged throughout. True. That is so true. Swirly says, a lighting options video would be appreciated. You are perfect for explaining this since you've lived in so many different vehicles. I don't want to hardwire anything, though. Okay, let me think about that. Because I have some thoughts on that. Like, what would you do for lighting, you know, if you didn't want to hardwire anything, which is possible. Oh, I should probably get out of this position. I got up on the bed and I started leaning on it. Now you're going to get super bright light from that light over there. So I'm going to sit down. Ooh, even though I'm about to wrap this up soon. So I'm going to start the fast scroll. And then I will wrap this up for the night. Thank you for everybody who came on. It's definitely been like a slower night. I know it's not exciting as some of my past live streams or crazy stuff was going on, but honestly, I needed this to be a super sort of chill night, and just needed to like chill my head out. And part of me thought about not going live tonight, and I'm glad I did. And I'm always glad I did, because after I leave it live, I always feel like I visited with like really good friends and had a really good vibe. So I'm glad I went live, and thank you for everybody who showed up. I'm going to scroll real fast and see if there's anything I should reply to before I wrap this up for the night. I still see people talking about which couples in old TVs slept together or not. Gene Dumford said, what opens iPhone videos on a PC? I have no idea. I don't own an iPhone, I hate to say. Jaylena would be a great person to ask about that, because Jaylena does sometimes use her iPhone. She has a camera as well, but I don't have an iPhone. I have an Android. Gibby Gibb says, I've always been told the best camera is the one that's on and running to get the shot. It absolutely is. Layla Jean is apparently knows how to get files off the iPhone, camera files onto a PC. If you have a Mac or an Apple computer, it's probably easier, but it seems like Layla Jean says it's pretty easy. Julianne says, is Casey Neistat a van lifer? He is not. I think he is a New York vlogger, just in general. Ramona Hopewell says, YouTubers do an amazing amount of work. I admire your dedication. Thank you so much. It seems like somebody's trying to help with that iPhone question. Marty Malone is like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what I should do? I should actually post my Super Ninjas stories and have you guys laugh at them. I started writing the Super Ninjas when I was 8, and I think I stopped like writing stories about them when I was about like 12, but I wrote about the Super Ninjas for years. I just knew one day I was gonna have a cartoon on TV and kids were gonna be watching my cartoon on Saturday morning cartoons, and now Saturday morning cartoons don't exist because kids can stream cartoons or watch them on an actual cartoon channel whenever they want to. Spoiled kids. We had to wait for Saturday morning to watch our cartoons, but I was convinced I was gonna have one, and never happened. Ramona says, I had to stop my boys from watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before they killed each other. I kicked a hole in the wall once, so yeah. Kids entertaining TV. I wasn't trying to kick a hole in the wall, by the way. I was just trying to kick very high, and my foot went through the wall. And this was not at my house, and my mom was very embarrassed as she apologized for her daughter kicking a hole in the wall trying to be a ninja. So, yeah. Princess Pamela says, hey, Dawn, are you coming up to Portland anytime soon? Maybe. Possibly. Question mark. CCH says, oh, you were in DC theater too. Yes, I started doing theater in Baltimore, actually. Well, technically Towson, Maryland, but that's Baltimore County, when I was in college in Towson. And so I started in Baltimore, Maryland, crossed over to DC a little bit, and then I got the internship over here in California, and then I started building contacts in California. So I've mostly done theater in either DC, Baltimore area or in California. I don't know if you want to count Oregon Shakespeare Festival, since the big bad bug came and sent us all home and took it away from me. But technically I worked a little bit of theater in Oregon. But that's about it. I haven't really been able to make the contacts to do it anywhere else. Lori says, do you prefer the box over the minivan? Yes, there's more space. I loved my minivan, and if I had like a place to park the box truck, I would love to have like this and a mini camper for certain situations. Like, it would be great if I had like a mini camper just for like smaller trips, and then like the box truck camper is like my main home that I took out sometimes. But I would also need land for that, so that's the end of that. I mean, that's not gonna happen right now. Freedom Dove, what's up? I'm glad you got here. I'm doing a quick scan, because I'm trying to keep up. The Red Precarian, bye-bye, I just saw, gotta run peace. Miss VKC wants me to share my Super Ninja stories that I wrote from about the age of 8 to 12. I probably only have the later stories, because the ones I wrote was when I was 8. I literally wrote with pencil and paper. Do kids even learn to write with pencil and paper anymore? I'm scrolling really quick. Shay, if I post my Super Ninja stories, they're probably gonna be like in a text format. Yeah, if I do post them, it'll be something that you can download and read. I don't know, maybe I'll charge like $1 for my embarrassment or something like that. It'll help me go towards future vehicle things. I feel like I missed something important, and I don't want to comment on it because I don't have the whole context. Talking Media says, your skin is flawless, Dawn. Thank you. Deborah Jackson, thank you for the reminder to hit the like button. Linda asks, did I leave California? I did, a while ago. Smoldery Rule says, Dawn, we need to get you at 50,000 subscribers. If that ever happens, that'd be awesome. Ramona says, kids don't understand the fun we had. I know, because we knew how to wait and enjoy it, because it was so rare that we had our Saturday morning cartoons. Freedom Dove says, I write with pen and paper, old school. I still write a lot of things down. Like, I've tried to use note programs in, like, my phone, and I just can't. Like, because it gets lost on the phone, and I don't pull it up, and it's not right in front of me. But if I write things physically out, it's, like, right in front of me, and so, like, it makes me deal with it faster. Alright, everyone, if you're feeling like it, hit that thumbs up, because you know that always helps me out. I thank everybody who popped in for the live tonight. I am going to go to bed now. I got some important stuff happening tomorrow, and I'm, like, super tired anyway. You guys always make me feel better, so I'm always happier when I go live and hang out with you guys. Have a lovely, lovely night.